Alright guys, it is Create a Player here, and I'm back with episode 4 of our tattoo tutorial series, and today we're going to be covering eyebrows. If you've ever spent any time creating fighters in this game, you'll know that the eyebrow options we can choose from are very limited. I would say out of the 10 eyebrows that you can choose from, I would regularly only use maybe between 3 to 5 different ones. So more often than not, we have to completely create eyebrows with tattoos or supplement the eyebrows that we can choose with tattoos. And what you're seeing on screen is a blank fighter plastered with some of the tattoos that we can use to duplicate eyebrows. And I'm just going to quickly demonstrate some of the ways that we can use these. So I'm going to start with Mythos Font 9 and just give this guy a quick eyebrow on the left hand side of his face. Now the nice thing about using Mythos Font 9 as well as Critter Font 9, which is sitting next to Mythos Font 9 on this guy's belly, is that we have a lot more freedom to change the size and the shape of them compared to the tattoos that lie above them, because for some reason the alphabet shapes allow us to make them very small. We can bring them down to a very small square, very small rectangle, and we can fill in smaller areas that we need to with them. Whereas the non-alphabet tattoos do not get proportionally smaller, but rather they get very thin when we bring them down in size. But there are still ways that those can be useful, which we will see in a bit. So now we have example eyebrows on both sides of the face, one with Critter Font 9, one with Mythos Font 9, each of them slightly different sizes, shapes, angles, and opacities. And to nicely finish off the ends of the eyebrows, I've been using Angels Demons 1 tattoo, and I picked up this tip from watching Aiden. This specific tattoo works nicely because it has a curved tail on it. So this first side is blunt, and we'll take a look at the other side with Angels Demons 1 at the end, and it just brings a nice natural end to the eyebrow. Now obviously neither of these are perfect, but they're just a quick demonstration, and honestly I'm not great at using these tattoos as eyebrows anyway, and a lot of the techniques that we're going over in this video I have picked up just from watching other people. Now we're going to take a look at another option, one that I like to use quite often, so I'm going to grab Irizumi number 3 and move it up to the top. And then I'm going to find a size that I want for the eyebrows that I'm going for, and I like to use this as a base layer. So I'll lay out my Irizumi number 3 tattoos in the general shape that I want, and then I'll bring the opacity down to kind of give the effect that it is the edges of the eyebrows, and then I'll come fill in the color with something darker depending on the type of eyebrow that I'm trying to make. Now if you're trying to make lighter colored eyebrows like red or orange for example, you could try Fantasy Tattoo number 3 in place of Irizumi number 3. So now we've completed another example, and we have a Irizumi base layer with a darker layer on the bottom. And again, these are just simply quick examples, but you can use any and all of these tattoos, and there's even maybe other tattoos that you could use, such as some of these animal tattoos that I have on his belly. So we have this tiger here, and generally these will work, I find, a bit better for facial hair, but you could also try them out for eyebrows. I would just encourage you to experiment, because what I've found is that eyebrows come in all crazy shapes and sizes, all sorts of thicknesses, all sorts of different bushiness. Generally they'll start darker towards the middle of the face and then fade out as they get to the edges. So for the most part, some combination of the tattoos that we've went over today is going to work out best to duplicate whichever eyebrows you're aiming to achieve. So there we quickly have 4 different sample eyebrows, and definitely some ideas for you guys to play with. And also how you have these tattoos oriented is going to give you slightly different looks. So we're just going to look at Critter Font 9 for example, and I'm going to make it very wide so it gives us the effect of bushiness. And you can mess around with all these tattoos to try and get yourself different looking effects. So we're going to be paying attention to the bottom eyebrow on his left hand side here. And now notice how the beginning is much bushier than the end of that eyebrow, and we've also messed with the opacity to fade it in and make it look natural. And now we're going to take a look at some examples and what the end result of applying eyebrow tattoos can look like. So here is Sakuraba, and on this fighter the eyebrows were completely composed of tattoos, meaning I didn't pick any in-game eyebrows and supplement them, but rather made them completely with tattoos. In this case, I started with Irizumi 3 as my base layer to get the shape of the eyebrows that I wanted. used Angels Demons 1 as the end of my eyebrow, like we looked at earlier, to finish it off nicely. Just keep in mind to make sure that you point it in the right direction so it flows naturally. And then I went back in with Mythos Font 9 to complete the eyebrows by adding darkness where they needed to be darker, as well as orienting them in different ways to get different wispiness on certain parts of the eyebrows. Here is another more recent example. So this is my Drake created fighter, and we have eyebrows 3 on him, as well as supplemental tattoos. And here I'm just removing and reapplying the in-game brows to show you the difference between the tattoos that I've added and then the tattoos coupled with the eyebrows. And here is another example with one of my more recent fighters. So I have removed the tattoos on the eyebrows on one side and left them on the other, and we also have in-game eyebrows applied. In this case, Tupac's eyebrows were bushier than any in the game as well. Most of the hair was above the eyebrows that were in the game. So brows 5 were the base for my eyebrows on this fighter, and then I supplemented with tattoos above, as you can see on one side, and then the end result ended up being closer to the reference photo than just choosing brows 5. Keep in mind, since they are tattoos and not actually hair, they're always going to look a little bit shinier than the proper in-game eyebrows, but we just have to do the best with what we have. Slim Shady, another example of in-game eyebrows plus tattooed eyebrows. Here's Chemo Leopoldo. Sometimes if you're lucky, if someone has very dark eyebrows and they're very clean eyebrows, you can simply use shapes to complete the eyebrow. Here I used full black shapes 100 as well as full black shapes 118, and then just with 2 eyebrow tattoos on each side coupled with the in-game eyebrows, we get the look that we were going for very quickly. And in some instances you'll get even luckier, like here with The Rock I used 1 tattoo only on each eyebrow, so the eyebrow is composed only of tattoos, no in-game eyebrows, and it just happened to work out perfectly for this example. And lastly we have Ken from Street Fighter. So I already have in-game angry eyebrows on him, and then I just filled out areas that needed to be darkened with Mythos Font 9, and then we used black triangles to add the spiky looking ends to his eyebrows. Now obviously this is a cartoon example rather than a real life example, but since it's a cartoon example, this was another case where we could use a full black tattoo to fill in the eyebrows. The main point being there's tons of different ways that we can try to duplicate eyebrows, and these are just a couple of them. And with that said, that's it for today's tutorial. I hope the people that enjoy this type of thing maybe learn something. And in the next one, we're going to be taking a closer look at facial hair.